So let's actually take an example. The example I'm going to go through, if you've ever seen the movie The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy, hilarious. Nutty Professor 1 and 2. I just showed my son that movie, I think a month or so ago, and it was a ride. He just cracked up. Now, obviously there are some mature scenes within that movie, but I'm explaining the general idea behind it and talking about a few of the characters and where they actually fall and how everything fits in. So the biggest thing with The Nutty Professor is the big focus, at least of the main character, Sherman Klump, and his family, isn't about money. It's about fitness, and it's about being at a good weight. And there's an obesity problem within the movie. And that is what Sherman Klump comes up with a magic formula in order to address. So that's his main focus. Now, in addition to that, you also have money as a part of that equation. And even though that may not affect the Klumps as much, it is a factor for other characters within the movie. So with that, we're going to take a spectrum of money and fitness. And if you actually break it down, for both money and fitness, there is a healthy spectrum and there is an unhealthy spectrum. And so for fitness, the healthy spectrum is actually being in shape, being at weight, being everything that would be considered to be ideal health, right? But on the unhealthy side of fitness, you have obesity, where someone is just has more weight on them than they need. And as a result, it can create certain ailments and problems. On the money side, you also have that. When you are healthy, when it comes to money, there's this idea of wealth. You're wealthy or that you're rich. But on the other side, there's this idea that you are poor or broke, and that would be considered the unhealthy side of money. So it doesn't matter what spectrum that you're going on, there's a healthy side and there's an unhealthy side. And I'm going to talk about both in regards to a few of the characters within the movie. Now, the main character, Sherman Klump, is a scientist, and he is working with genetics to figure out how can he remove this obesity gene in order to make folks slim and trim, right? So a lot of attempts are being made at that even today, so it's not a far-fetched idea, but he actually finds it. The unfortunate side is it has some side effects. He falls as authoritative. He likes explaining things. He is someone who can get in the details, and he wants to make sure that everyone can make a educated decision. Now, his alter ego is Buddy Love. And Buddy Love, I mean, he's just out to kind of just be a man in all senses of the word. And so he's very strong-willed, and it's his way or the highway. So he's authoritarian. You can see that from the way he talks and the way he addresses folks. Kind of a little bit disrespectful, but that's the way he kind of sees the world. And then you see someone who's permissive, and that's Dean Richmond. Dean Richmond kind of has this idea that anything goes. As long as his university and his college can grow, anything flies, right? So he kind of grovels a little bit when it actually comes to dealing with kind of the money side, and he's kind of a little bit more oriented toward that. And so is Buddy Love. He's a little bit more oriented toward the money thing. That's the one thing that he's looking to gather more of. And then on the far side of the spectrum, as far as neglectful and uninvolved, you have Ernie Klump Sr. That is Sherman's brother. And he almost looks like a Mike Tyson-like character, right? And you can kind of sense, from everything that he wants, that he's not really involved with sort of, I guess, what might be the focus of, let's say, his kids, so to speak, as an example, since we're talking about parenting. So those are some examples of the main types. Now, if we go back to the subtypes, Tiger, you have Buddy Love on that far side of the spectrum, and he's going to say and do whatever he has in order to achieve success. And anything within his power, he's also going to push those things in the same direction. Dean Richmond's kind of like a snowplow in this area. He's a bully. He bullies on Sherman Klump quite often to be able to get what he wants. He's permissive when it comes to dealing with, let's say, donors, but when it comes to actually driving the bottom line, he's kind of clearing house and doing whatever he has to do in order to make that happen. As far as attachment, you definitely know this one with Mama Anna Klump, where she says, Sherman, Sherman, Sherman. That's her whole thing, right? And she had a really strong attachment. You could say Sherman Klump is a mama's boy for sure. but that's where she fits in within that role. And then I'm not sure if you remember, there's Grandma Ida Jensen, and she's a bit of a troublemaker. She's the helicopter subtype as far as the parenting style, because she loves to micromanage. So it doesn't matter if anyone has a situation going on, she's jumping right in there and giving you a piece of what she thinks about it. So like no holds barred there. And then as far as Elephant and Dolphin, you have Sherman Klump falling here again. And last but not least, you have Ernie Klump, who I would call him free range as well. He's not super involved as far as a parenting type. And again, anything kind of goes out there. So if you take all of this, everyone comes together having their own challenges, and you get to see that with very specific character traits throughout the movie. So even though, again, some folks are worried about fitness, some folks are worried about money, they all have a certain disposition as a parent that leads them to essentially getting what they want or not getting what they want. And it's also a question of ethics a little bit too, of how far are they willing to go to get what they want. So the scenarios that you normally see for Sherman, just for example, are the dinner table, the office, and in public. The dinner table, he's super comfortable, especially when he's with family, for the most part anyway. At the office, again, that's his element. He enjoys being in that as well. But it's the public that kind of changes his perception on what he needs to do and what he needs to be. He's got a big dilemma on his hands because he has this formula, he's thinking it could be super successful, but at the same time, he wants to address some of the challenges that he actually has. And again, for him, it's not about the money, but for his Dean Richmond, it is about the money. So you just have a lot of different battles that are happening within that. But what actually happens at the end is Sherman gets more comfort, he gets comfort and love that he actually receives from his significant other. He has more comfort in being himself, and he has more comfort in being honest with himself. So those are all factors that essentially come in. But this has been a really interesting investigation, just looking at how parenting styles can impact what and how you do and act. So I hope you appreciated some of the lessons learned. I definitely learned a lot in going through some of this analysis. And if you have any questions, you're looking for any feedback, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd love to connect. All right, thanks. Bye.